Have you ever felt that unsettling sense of being profoundly unqualified for something God was clearly calling you to do? That feeling of inadequacy can be overwhelming, making you question if you've truly heard correctly. Deborah, a figure from the Old Testament, probably wrestled with similar feelings too. In her time, the societal structure was very rigid. Women simply weren't considered for leadership roles, and most definitely not as judges or prophets, roles that held significant authority and influence. These positions were almost exclusively reserved for men. Yet, in a move that defied expectations, God chose Deborah, a wife, a woman of faith, and a prophetess, to step up and lead Israel during a period when no one else was willing or able to take on the responsibility. She established a place for herself under a palm tree, offering her wisdom, guidance, and settling complex disputes for a nation that was deeply entrenched in crisis and desperately seeking direction. For a long and arduous 20 years, the people of Israel had suffered greatly under oppressive rule, but God, in his infinite wisdom, chose to speak to Deborah, not to a seasoned warrior or a powerful king, but to a woman who possessed the invaluable ability to listen intently to his voice. She didn't possess a prestigious title or an impressive pedigree, just a willing and obedient heart, coupled with a deep and personal relationship with God. Deborah's remarkable story serves as a powerful testament that God isn't constrained or limited by our perceived inadequacies or circumstances. He actively seeks out those individuals who are willing to say yes to his call, even when it defies logic or societal expectations. Her unwavering faith and unwavering obedience transformed her into a beacon of light, illuminating a path forward during a particularly dark and turbulent time in Israel's history. So, don't let self-doubt or feelings of inadequacy disqualify you from pursuing what God has placed on your heart. Remember, God's incredible power is fully capable of working through anyone who possesses a willing spirit and a heart open to being used by Him. Ultimately, Deborah's willingness to make herself available to God mattered far more than any human qualification or societal expectation. Deborah didn't just hold a position of influence and authority, she was a leader in every sense of the word. She acted with bold courage when it counted, stepping into a role that defied societal norms and expectations. Her bravery wasn't just a fleeting moment, it was a consistent characteristic. God told her to summon Barak, a military leader, and deliver a daunting command, a command that would test his faith and courage and ultimately the fate of their people. Lead 10,000 men, ordinary citizens answering an extraordinary call, against Sisera's iron chariots, a formidable force that instilled fear in the hearts of many. These chariots represented the pinnacle of military technology at the time. Deborah wasn't a military strategist by trade, nor did she possess any formal combat training. But she spoke God's word with authority, acting as a conduit for divine guidance and reassurance. Facing the enemy's superior technology and overwhelming numbers, she trusted God's promise over her fears, choosing to believe in the unseen power that would ultimately deliver them. Her courage came from confidence in God, not herself, recognizing that true strength lies in surrendering to a higher power. Deborah's faith was active, it wasn't passive belief. She obeyed, trusting God for the victory, even when the odds seemed insurmountable and the path ahead uncertain. True courage is acting on God's word regardless of the circumstances. Even when it's terrifying, when every fiber of your being screams in protest and self-preservation. When God calls, our job is to obey, to step out in faith, even when we don't fully understand the plan. His job is to provide the victory, to equip us with the strength and resources we need to overcome any obstacle. Deborah's boldness was rooted in trust, not recklessness, understanding that true courage comes from a place of deep faith and reliance on God. She acted without hesitation, demonstrating a level of commitment and conviction that inspired others to follow her lead, showing us that faith means moving forward even when afraid, trusting that God will guide our steps and protect us along the way. Deborah delivered God's message to Barak, but he hesitated. Barak said, "If you go with me, I'll go, if not, I won't." He needed Deborah's presence as reassurance. Deborah agreed, but told him the honor would go to a woman because of his hesitation. She didn't shame him, she adjusted and moved forward, showing true leadership. Their partnership reveals how God works through imperfect people. Barak had the position, but Deborah had the vision and faith. She stepped onto the battlefield, supporting Barak and ensuring God's will was done. Deborah's obedience inspired courage in others. Sometimes your faith is what others need to move forward. Their teamwork led to the victory God promised. Deborah's life provides a powerful example, illustrating that leadership within God's kingdom isn't about holding a prestigious position or boasting an impressive title. Instead, it's fundamentally about something far more profound and accessible to all. It's not about titles or the outward symbols of authority that the world often values. She wasn't a king, adorned with royal robes and commanding armies, or a commander leading troops into battle with strategic brilliance. But despite lacking those traditional markers of power, she was, without a doubt, the true leader. Because she cultivated a deep connection with the divine, she listened intently to God's voice, and most importantly, she acted upon what she heard. Barak, on the other hand, held the official role, the designated position of authority, but his courage, unlike Deborah's unwavering resolve, was conditional, dependent on certain assurances and circumstances. Deborah's willingness to serve God and his people was absolute, a testament to her unwavering faith and commitment. She fearlessly spoke truth, even when it was difficult or unpopular, confronted fear head-on, and delivered bold declarations of God's will, and she even went to battle, standing alongside her people in the face of danger. True influence for God and his kingdom isn't about the letters after your name or the title on your business card. It's about your willingness to say yes to his call, regardless of the cost. God chose Deborah, not because of her qualifications in the eyes of the world, but because she cultivated a listening heart and made herself available to his divine call. Leadership, in its truest form, starts with hearing God's voice, discerning his will for your life, and then it requires trusting his direction, even when it doesn't make sense according to human logic. Deborah's authority didn't stem from earthly power or social status. It came from her unwavering obedience to God. Her power wasn't derived from human institutions or worldly power structures. So stop focusing on what you perceive as your limitations, the things you think you're not capable of. Instead, shift your focus to who God is, his boundless power, his unwavering love, and his limitless potential. And then with a heart full of faith and a spirit of obedience, say yes to his calling on your life. Because when a willing heart surrendered to God's purpose meets God's infinite power, anything, absolutely anything, is possible. Deborah's story ends with a song of praise and 40 years of peace. One act of obedience changed a nation's future. Your willingness to step out in faith can have an impact beyond what you see. Deborah's story is an invitation. Are you available for God? He's still looking for people who will rise up, trust his promises, and say yes. You don't need a special platform, just a willing heart. God can do extraordinary things through your simple obedience. The question isn't if God can use you, but will you let him? Be bold, be courageous, and say yes to what God puts on your heart. Like Deborah, your availability can make a lasting difference.